I'm the Stock Boy and I'm going endurance racing today. Welcome to the channel. This new LM87 is an awesome addition to the game and we're going to test out all the Le Mans cars in GTA Online. The LM87 is going up against the S80RR and RE-7B. There's a lot of really close racing coming your way. It's going to be a good time, and you're also going to want to make sure that you see the speed score at the end, which will tell you which one's the best overall performer. Just looking at one of these tests isn't going to give you an idea of how well these cars do. If all you care about are the drag times, I love drag times, but you're doing it wrong. I hate to say it. Speaking of drag times though, we're going to start off at the drag strip. We've got the LM87 on the left, RE-7B on the right. The brand new Benefactor is going to see how it can hang with this newer, I guess you could say, endurance car. And you can see it gets to that 8th mile line first. The RE-7B a little slower off the line maybe, but now it's closing the gap a little bit. So that LM87, it launched a little harder, but this RE-7B is going to start clawing back. And once we get closer to this half-mile line, we'll see they look like they're tied. A little bit of math tells me that the LM87 is slightly faster by just a couple thousandths of a second. So very similar acceleration between those two. Now we're going to go ahead and head down the track with the S80RR as well and see how that thing handles this new LM87. It actually gets to the 8th mile line first, which was surprising to me. That LM87 feels fast, but maybe it can pull a comeback. It's not looking like it just yet. We saw the RE-7B come back at the half-mile line, so that LM87 is going to be giving it everything it's got to try to catch this S80RR, but the S80RR looks like it has a bit of an advantage when it comes to acceleration, and looking at the drag times, it does. But I promise you some close racing, and this is just the beginning of it. Look at how close all those times are. Quarter mile really not separated by more than 1/10 of a second between all three. Very, very similar acceleration. This is the RE-7B, and it's been around for a while. I think it's the one that's been around for the longest of these three. Used to be fast, really fast, but they nerfed it. We'll see how it does today. The S80RR, I love the fact that we can almost make it a Jägermeister Porsche. Almost. It's really close. Close enough for me to make me happy. But this new Benefactor, oh, it looks so much like the Sauber C9. You can even add the yellow accents. It's such a cool car. I'm so happy they added it to the game, and it's easily one of my new favorites just based on looks alone. When it comes to speed, it comes out on top too. So the last test, we had the S80RR on top. This one, they're not all separated by much, 2 miles an hour here and there, but there is an advantage for that LM87, which is going to help it later on with the speed score. But now we're going to my technical track. This is my favorite place to go. We got some big time racing here. A lot of awesome cars that handle extremely well. RE-7B on the top, LM87 on the bottom. And we can see coming out of that first hairpin, this LM87 already has a pretty decent lead. Going through the second section here, this is where the RE-7B might pull a little closer, but it's not looking like it. That LM87 is really taking off into that next hairpin. This car handles extremely well, and while I do think the RE-7B handles pretty well, you're going to see that gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Compared to these other two cars, the RE-7B just, it doesn't necessarily understeer. I don't think that's fair, but it doesn't have as much rotation, so it's harder to get it around the corners quickly. And going on to this home stretch, we know the RE-7B may be a little bit faster when it comes to acceleration, but it's not fast enough to make up that gap. The LM87 is much quicker here than the RE-7B. So many letters and numbers, I'm starting to get myself pretty confused, but we've got the LM87 again on the bottom with the S80RR on top, and this is a mammoth battle. The S80RR is extremely fast here, has been for a long time, so that LM87's got its work cut out for it here. We've got a lead for the S80RR. Porsche versus Mercedes, the way I have them set up. I love this race. Going through the second section, you see they both handle it pretty well, but the S80RR coming out of that corner and into the hairpin has a slight advantage still. It handles really well. It's got tons of grip. The LM87 does as well, but the little bit of acceleration difference seems to be helping out that S80RR to this point. This final sector, though, that could change. Really tight chicane and a really long swooping right-hander. The LM87, you can see, has that extra rotation, gets down to the bottom of the track easier, and now it's got the lead. But we know the S80RR has better acceleration, so it's a drag race to see who can get to the line first. It's gonna be the Benefactor, just barely. But that Benefactor lap time is really exciting. 54.2 seconds, faster than the Emirates and the Krieger and the new Torero XO. So when it comes to this track here, that LM87, as far as non-housed cars and supercars goes, it's the fastest, and it also comes out on top with the speed score because of that lap time. Really so close all around, but that extra rotation on the LM87 makes all the difference in the world. It still has a ton of grip, so you can just fly around corners, brake really late. It's a lot of fun. This RE-7B used to be so good until they nerfed it. Now it's just kind of blah. It's a great car. 56 seconds is fast at this track, but it just doesn't have that extra oomph that it needs to compete with these two. S80RR is still a fantastic car. It's still really quick. It can still beat the Krieger at this track. It still almost catches the Emirates. I love the way that it looks like this with that Jägermeister Porsche style livery. Overall, great car and a lot of fun. But check out that engine model. I just gotta say, they did a fantastic job with this car. Looks-wise, everything. Performance, looks, this is the whole package. This is absolutely one of my favorite new cars in GTA Online. This will absolutely win you races at technical tracks. Such a great addition to the game. Thanks so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Love to hear what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It means a lot to me, helps me out a ton. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.